Welcome to another episode of the Intrigue Dynamite Show. You should hit that subscribe button, like and share.
Yeah. Oh yeah. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode of the Intrigue Dynamite Show. As we get into another discussion, some deep talk, some narrative correction, a little introspection. As usual, make your way in, hit that subscribe button, like and share. Let's see if we can calm this down as usual. Calm down. Oh yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, as you make your way in, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and share. Now, this is the zone where we do some narrative correction and also view into the historical record. Because, as you know, you should never let anyone control your narrative, right? Now, I like to get straight into it. Guys, before we do get into it, be sure to participate, subscribe if you haven't, hit the like button, also leave comments and things like that, because we need to override the algorithm that polices everything, the oversensitive algorithm that the moment that you say any word that it deems inappropriate, if you will, it will then shut you down or relegate your channel to obscurity. Now, as you can see right here in the thumbnail, this is a subject matter that what we're going to do is we're going to glimpse into American history. And what we're going to do is we're going to, view a piece of American history and juxtapose it to the now. Huh? Yeah. Because as it is said, Malcolm X, history is best qualified to reward our research. Now, we've been covering Kanye West, and one thing that Kanye West said in his last interview that we covered was essentially he wanted to rid the world of history, essentially rid the education system of history. And I addressed that and how I felt that was, or how I thought with an argument that was problematic. And today we are going to take a glimpse into another piece of American history. Killers of the Flower Moon. Now, this is a tragic story, but it's going to play right into why history is important. Now, we begin this by giving a little bit of background history, right? Well, you know what? We're going to set the scene by playing this little piece of audio. This little piece of audio was covered by Bill Maher on Bill Maher's channel. Now, what are we going to try to tie this into? This entire subject matter, because I feel I need to slow it down a little bit. This subject matter is going to tie into the reparations conversation. Oh, yeah. I'm going to tie it into the reparations conversation as well. Now, what I want to do to start this off, I want to play this little piece. Hold on. Let's go ahead and put a stop to this. Let's pause just briefly. This wonderful music playing. Now, I want you to listen to this sentiment coming from the Real Time with Bill Maher, and one of the special guests was Charlemagne the God. Here we go. Take a listen to this exchange.
Last month, the Biden administration said, speaking of money, they want to study reparations. Study it. compensate descendants of slaves for unpaid labor by their ancestors, Jen Psaki, the press spokesman, said, "We'll see what happens in the legislative process." I'm curious where you are on this issue. I mean, there's a collective guilt that's asking individuals to recompense. I think that's how we would frame that.
Listen, I think reparations has to happen for black people. You know what I mean? Because slavery was America's original sin. And I really don't think no good is going to come to this country until they atone for their original sin, which was slavery. I mean, my ancestors literally built this country for free. So when you see all of this money being thrown around, you know, $27 trillion in national debt, $1.7 trillion for failed F-35 fighter jets.
$500,000 for dogs.
$500,000 for fucking dogs. It's like if you're black in this country, you have to be like, well, what the hell? What's up with us? You know what I mean? So for me personally,
but again,
I don't even see what the issue is. I don't even see
the
how
issue is that
anybody
that's
could
the
argue.
collective guilt. But individual white people are saying, I didn't do it, and my ancestors didn't even do it, and you are not your ancestors.
I'm a descendant of those ancestors.
I know, but okay.
Hey, listen, when a debt is old, a debt is old. Period.
But you've got a lot of money, so you say you should get more.
Should I get more?
Well, no, you should get a check.
Yes, I'm 97% West African, born in Charleston, South Carolina, so I should definitely get a check. But if it's to the point where, you know what, you make too much money, we don't think you deserve it, cool, give it to somebody who needs it. But to act like black people in this country don't deserve reparations is absolutely nuts to me. Hey, this is what I want. Put it like this, America, just treat black people like they're F-35 fighter jets. You had $1.7 trillion to throw at that bullshit. Throw it at the people who actually built this country.
But
I don't see how anybody can dispute that.
But again, you didn't build this country.
So what?
You personally did.
So what? I'm a descendant.
But I'm saying we can't write a check to a ghost, you know.
Why not?
Why not? Because
especially when the ghost's descendants are still
that's a
here.
Okay.
Listen, let me ask you a question. How do you right the wrong of slavery then?
Well, I mean, I think reparations can come in many forms.
Why not? Cash is king. It's America.
No, I agree. I mean, I think reparations do come in many forms. So we should be spending much, much more on the schools that serve black children. We should be spending much, much more on the infrastructure in predominantly black communities. We should be doing all sorts of things to close the opportunity gap, which is enormous and which we've done a terrible job closing. A debt is owed, and that's one of the ways you repay it.
Simple as that.
The problem I have with the reparations conversation is the questions you were asking a moment ago. It's practically a non-starter. I mean, in terms of practicality. No one's going to agree on the terms. No one's going to agree exactly on the eligibility criteria. Nobody's going to agree on the amount, and it's politically very unpopular. And while we're talking about something that I don't think is passable, and that's why Obama didn't talk about it while he was in office.
Why is it not passable, though?
What?
Why is it not passable?
Look at public opinion polls. It's just not going to get done. And
it's not going to get done. Now, there are some points in this conversation that are going to play right into this subject matter. Seems like everybody has their opinion as to what reparations is. Charlemagne the God is speaking on it, and they essentially tell him why you need more money. You got money already. And then going to say, well, no, I mean, look, can't pay reparations to a ghost. You didn't build the country. Essentially separating him from his ancestor. And that the beneficiaries of the ancestors have no claim. Because once they died, the debt is done, essentially, is what he's saying, or they're arguing. Now, it stands to mention that Charlemagne the God is the only black person on this entire panel. The other two guys, Caucasian. Now, what does this have to do with this conversation that we're about to get into? It has a lot. So let's begin the conversation then. Killers of the Flower Moon. Now, in North America, there were many tribes. And there were many tribes that were wiped out from the war waged against them by those who sought to take possession of their ancestral lands. Among the tribes that managed to survive, one of them was the Osage Indians. Now, they were essentially left destitute and nomadic, but in a backhanded effort to extend what on the surface appeared to be a little bit of humanity toward the Osage, the U.S. government allocated a piece of land in Oklahoma to them. Now, this would be their so-called new home, right? This would be their reservation. Now, unbeknownst to either party, both parties being the Osage and the United States government, the Osage Indians were now in possession of a land full of what they considered to be black gold. In other words, oil. The Osage Indians were sitting on a reservation full of oil. And this discovery, right? Keep the timeline. The discovery of the oil was made in 1897. Their problems started about 20 years later. Now, at that time, if you were lucky to find yourself on a plot of land with an oil well, that was a sure path to riches and wealth and, money beyond your wildest dreams. And you can see some of these depictions in theatrical works, such as the movie There Will Be Blood. I believe that's with Daniel Day-Lewis. And even, some old classics such as Beverly Hillbillies, right? They struck oil and they were rich and moved to Beverly Hills. Now, the Osage Indians, they would soon taste this level of success in reality, but not without attracting the attention and the envy of their white American counterparts. See? Now, if you want all of the details, because there's a lot of details in this, all of the little bitty details. Look, there are books and film that depict the gory details that were to unfold in this piece of American history. And also, there's a film in the works by none other than Martin Scorsese, also titled, I believe it's titled, Killers of the Flower Moon. So for all of the logistics as to how many of these natives were eventually murdered by their white counterparts in a conspiracy to usurp them of their oil-rich land, and the involvement of the FBI and J. Edgar Hoover's investigation. Look, there's plenty of material for that. But what I want to laser in on is what was it that set in motion the set of events that were to cause their downfall. Now, taking into account at this time the amount of money that they were able to pull, matter of fact, just in 1923, they pulled like $30 million. Like this tribe, the Osage tribe, just in 1923 alone, they generated more than $30 million in oil, which would be about $400 million today when factoring in inflation. So what do you think happened after they got this money? Well, when they were getting this money, guess what status they wound up getting? Oh, they were richer than everybody around them. Everybody. This little tribe, the Osage tribe, they were richer than all of their white counterparts. And individually, they were pretty rich as well. Now, when we glimpse into their history, we could see that after they were getting this money, they were kind of splurging a little bit, But what we're going to do right now is, for all of the little bitty details, there is a specific content creator by the name of 1920s Channel. 1920s Channel also did a subject matter on this. Now, what I'll do is I'll let him speak a little bit of the history as to some of the things that they were going through. And pay attention, these two people on this thumbnail, They had a very unique relationship, shall we say. Now, just take a listen.
And
Among the Osage was Anna Brown, a young woman recently divorced from her white husband.
Anna Brown, that is the woman that is in the thumbnail.
Anna took her share of the oil money and lived the quintessential flapper life, dancing at parties all night and going to clubs, and she had also developed a liking for bootleg liquor. While her lifestyle was slightly looked down on by older tribe members, there didn't seem to be too much harm in it. In May 1921, Anna went missing. At first, the family assumed, or hoped, that she had simply gone out on a lengthy dancing and drinking binge, perhaps in a city in a different state. But that theory was dashed when, on May 27th, about a week after she had gone missing, her badly decomposed body was discovered near a creek, blackened, bloated, and worm-infested.
This is one of the Osage women, after they got all this money.
Upon autopsy, it was discovered that Anna had been shot in the back of the head with a small firearm from above, execution style. The only evidence that had been found at the scene was a bottle that had probably contained illegal alcohol and 2 sets of tire tracks. Anna had 2 living sisters, Molly and Rita. A third sister had died years before from a strange illness. Molly was married to a white man named Ernest Burkhart, and Rita to an Osage man named Bill Smith. Their mother, Lizzie, was of an old breed, who was suspicious of the newfound wealth and more content to continue with the ancient traditions of the Osage. Despite Anna's rather reckless modern lifestyle, she had been Lizzie's favorite daughter. Less than 2 months after Anna's death, Lizzie would also die, many thinking it was from heartbreak. Very shortly before Anna's disappearance, a young Osage man named Charles Whitehorn had also been found dead, with 2 bullet holes in his head. In February, some months later, an Osage man named William Stepson also died unexpectedly. And things would only get stranger from there. Between March and August 1922, 3 more people related to the Osage community died suddenly and mysteriously. The third was a white man sent to Washington, D.C. as a representative of the Osage to investigate the string of murders on the Osage lands. His body was found naked, and he had been stabbed nearly 24 times. In February 1923, another body was found, a 40-year-old Osage man named Henry Roan, whose car was found at the bottom of a ravine, and he had a bullet hole in the back of his head. More than 2 decades before, he had been briefly married to Molly Burkhart, but that wouldn't be the last connection to Molly in this story. Shortly after this murder, Molly's last sister, Rita, and her husband, Bill Smith's house blew up at 3 in the morning, killing Rita and a young white female servant. Bill survived the initial blast, but after going in and out of consciousness for 4 days, he died at a hospital. It's likely that Bill had been targeted because he had been very outspoken about catching the murderers of the previous killings.
This man right here, Hale, this guy right here that you see on the screen, Hale, he is a very interesting character in all of this. Now, what was it that incited all of these killings? What was it? What was it at this particular moment, in this particular time in history, that all of these people were just dropping dead? Here's what happened. After they got all of their money, well, not all of their money, but after seeing all of these riches that they were getting, what do you think happened? People, it drew a lot of attention. This attention came with some people that were there to, align themselves with them to try to, they had a few protectors. But as you heard, a lot of these people that came in with under the guise or with the intent of protecting and seeing what's going on with these people, they were killed too. Yeah, they were killed. Well, why were all of these people on this reservation? Don't they govern themselves? Aren't they all alter themselves? Why are there all of these deaths and all of these people coming around them? And here's why. Here's what happened. Matter of fact, if you don't know, I probably should let you guess. But to save you the suspense, I'll just tell you. Did you know that after seeing that they had amassed, that they had all of this oil in their land, people were trying to figure out a way to align themselves with the Osage people? They were trying to figure out how to get their hands on that oil. Oh, yeah. Some, married into it. And, they were going around, some of them killed their spouses in order to inherit the land. But what was it that prompted all of these people to align themselves with the Osage people? The United States government. Yeah, the Congress. Congress essentially legislated. They essentially, determined the Osage people to be incompetent. They essentially determined that, all of that wealth in that land, they're too stupid. They're too dumb to understand how to handle money. So what we're going to do, the United States Congress, they said, we are going to assign guardians. Yeah. Because all of y'all, all that money in that ground, you guys, we called y'all savages, that's how we look at y'all. Y'all are savages. And you're getting all this money, come on, $30 million y'all pulling out of this ground. You know what? We're going to essentially say, y'all are dumb. And in 1921, the United States Congress passed a law that required that each of the Osage people had a guardian. Who do you think the guardians were? They were essentially Caucasian men. Each one of these guardians would be over the Osage to essentially manage their money for them. So why did the government see fit to step in and say, y'all, we realize that's your reservation. Y'all got your own thing, but all that oil in there, all that money coming out that ground, y'all are too dumb. Well, what happened was they were lobbied against. Yeah. There were white Americans that were jealous, that were envious of all of that oil in that ground. And they mounted an argument that, come on, we have to be able to, we want to really protect them. They don't know what it is that they're doing. Yeah. So they were lobbied against. Now, this right here, in context, this land was kind of their backhanded reparation. Yeah. Here, take this piece of land. Go settle over there. Be happy. We gave you a piece of luck. What the? There's oil? Oh, damn. So now there is this need to control them once more. Now, my question is, why would the Congress, United States Congress, pass a law that would deem these people too incompetent to handle their own resources, wealth, and money? Why would they do that? Perhaps because empowerment should be regulated. Yeah, regulated by those that fear something. What did they fear? They were doing better than everyone around them, all of their white counterparts. Perhaps there was a fear that they would become too successful. Have we seen this story before? I would say yes. We saw this story as well in Oklahoma, nonetheless, Tulsa, Oklahoma. as the Osage Indians, they were in Oklahoma too. So there's something going on, especially in Oklahoma, where there was a lot of jealousy of people that were doing better than the dominant society. So much so that not only were there so many people coming up dead via the Trojan horse of so-called guardianship that was mandated by the government that each one of these people should have to dictate or to regulate the money, to oversee the money. Rooted in fear, I'm willing to bet that the dominant society perhaps at that time would be left in the dust. Now, in the account, the Osage people, they were doing a lot of drinking, a lot of partying, a lot of balling out, mixing and mingling. Oh yeah, they were living it up high on the hog with this newfound money in their hands. They were buying cars, paying for private school, all of these things that the people that surrounded them could not afford. But here they were, this isolated tribe, rich in America, and destroyed, taken down by the envious that were there to oversee their quote unquote success. Now, my question, in this exact same thing, in the exact same piece of history, there were details that showed that a lot of the older ones, the older Osage people, they wanted to adhere more to their traditions, the old ways of their ancestors, whereas the younger ones, they kind of were doing whatever it is that they wanted to do, mixing and mingling, not understanding that they were signing their own death certificate. Now, let that sink in for a little bit. Because as this is going to be a brief show, I just want to really tackle this point to get it through to a lot of people. See, when you heard at the beginning of the show, Bill Maher speaking to Charlemagne the God, and the other guy that was there on the panel, the two Caucasian males, what were they saying? They were essentially saying, now, you know what? We're going to dictate what reparations is. Yeah, for school. Yeah, we need to pay for the school for a lot of you guys. Yeah, school and other things. Yeah, we'll do things in the neighborhood. Yeah, we'll take care of impoverished neighborhoods. Really? So now, what arrogance are you displaying that you would then sit in the seat of guardianship to dictate what reparations is? Now look, what is the significance of understanding this history? Now, see, reparations for the descendants of the American slave is sought out by those who it is owed to, but it is also sabotaged by those who do not qualify for them as well. Politicians are afraid to even mention the subject matter, and so many of them cite their reasoning for not supporting them is because it will be divisive. But divisive how? Perhaps they fear something in history that many of we who are FBA have overlooked. What is that thing that they fear? What is that thing that they're trying to avoid? What is this divisive thing? Perhaps it is the historic destruction of every society that has dared to eclipse the status of the dominant society. Every society in America that had no backing or connection to an outside country was destroyed. The native black and native Asiatic American are the only people that are a nation isolated to themselves. So what outside nation has ever come to the rescue of either? What outside nation has specifically claimed either as their own and demanded that they be extended the dignity and justice of a sovereign? No. No one. And having no support, there is no incentive to do justice. For those who look like you tend to speak against you. And those who protect the coffers of ill-gotten gains, they despise you. As we've seen when there were things that happened with the Japan spoke out. Things that happen here, we have the Latinos, their countries speak out. All of these specific countries where people come directly from, there is someone that speaks out against them. There are outside entities. Except for the Black American, who essentially, there were some that were here and there were some that were brought, but they do not know where home is. There's an idea, but there's no specific entity that backs them up, which leaves them vulnerable. Now, you have politicians on the right. When the subject matter of reparations come up, the politicians on the right pretend you don't exist. While those on the left, the ones on the left, they tend to regard you as too stupid to be able to hand any reparative measures in the form of tangible resources or monetary measures. And therefore, they appoint themselves guardian over all of us in order to bird feed your birthright to you in whatever portions that they see fit, and to align those from outside interests right alongside you so that they can dispense the compensation of your justice claim out to every intersectional Tom, Dick, and Harry, while also taking a piece for themselves. See, the effort to relegate the injustices levied by the American government toward the foundation of Black Americans, trying to relegate that to ancient history. We can't give reparations to a ghost. You didn't build anything. Why should we owe you? These people that place themselves in the position of guardianship and dictator. You see, but this is not surprising. And it shouldn't really surprise you either, because there's always this tendency to play guardian over you and then come in the middle of your, the success or seeing what these reparation measures have afforded you. There was always a tendency to look upon it with envy. And even if you try to say, well, that's old history, is gone, it's done. Well, let me tell you something. Jealousy is not extinct. Destruction is not extinct. Envy is not extinct. And there are those who, in large groups, will do anything to sabotage justice, for the simple fact that it might place you in a position above them, according to perception. See, the guardians of tragedy that sabotaged the Osage people, they've all died. But the spirit that possessed them still exists. You have Democrats that they're handing out crack pipes and giving you twerking videos in order to achieve the black vote, promising nothing despite the loyalty that they've received from foundational Black Americans, because to them, apparently, We're all too stupid to know what reparations actually is. And even if you did get it, to them, you wouldn't know what to do with it anyway. This level of arrogance, this is not new here in America. And these people, the killers of the flower moon, this is something that I believe every American, every foundational Black American should pay close attention to. It shows what happens after you do get reparations. This is what I believe all of these politicians fear. They don't want to talk about it. Because they fear that there will be some level of covert civil war. The killers of the flower moon, this detailed diabolical people right here in America that sought out to usurp not only the birthright, but the lives, livelihood of the Osage people. And there are countless stories of Black society that has gone through this as well. Do you know how many towns were burned? You know how many neighborhoods were destroyed in Black society? There are plenty of instances of killing of the flower moon within Black society. And a lot of people, they like to say post-racial, like everything's gone, everything's old, antiquated history, like society has progressed. But the truth of the matter is, that spirit still exists. It still does. There is never there's always the idea, let me put it this way, that when someone wins, someone else feels like they're losing. Oh, yeah. And to a lot of people, reparations, not just factoring in the things that happened to you, that happened to your ancestors, all of these things. Well, come on. That was the past. Okay. All right, we'll give you a little piece of reparation, something. Well, after you get that little piece of a reparation, something, if you wind up becoming too successful with it, you wind up attracting those that are envious, those that speak out against you. There are plenty that will align themselves with you. Now, this is not to make everyone paranoid, but is to take into account history. There are people that will align themselves next to you and then come at you under the guise of helping you, having a better understanding of what it is that you are now in possession of. Oh, you got a little bit of reparations? Well, I can help you. Oh, you don't want my help? I'm going to go to the government. United States government? Yes. Could you, legislate, dictate, allocate all power to us so that we have a foothold into what they have received? They're stupid. They don't know anything about oil, money, and things like that. Well, you do realize that, they've been getting a lot of millions. I see that, but still, you know, you never know. I mean, they can, you know, take the money and then, you know, pay, I don't know, the boogeyman. Yeah, that's what it is. The boogeyman. They can pay the boogeyman, and they can have the boogeyman come over here, and the boogeyman will wreak havoc. We already know about the tendency to paint negative narratives, especially when they have access to media outlets. We saw that with D.W. Griffith's Birth of a Nation, which essentially was to paint a picture to scare everyone, and even those that are in government, to legislate things on their behalf, or to also turn a blind eye when certain things happen to disenfranchised people, or even participate in their destruction, as we saw with Tulsa, Oklahoma. So Kanye West was inaccurate when he said history should be erased. Without a history, things like this are bound to repeat. The spirit still exists, as this nation still exists, as there are those that still exist that do not want to see any amelioration that they are not beneficiaries of. It's this idea of a poor man who sees you as beneath him, and that's the only reason that he, you know, gets up in the morning. Well, at least I'm better than that son of a gun. Woo! We got any food in there? Nope, we ain't got nothing. I've been eating fingernails for the past week. Got a couple of packets of ketchup, but damn it, I'm better than them dudes. We sure are. We're better than them. Hold on, turn on the TV. News is on. It's just it. Reparations has been allocated to all foundational Black Americans. It has been long overdue, and they have finally received it. Wait, hold on. What? They received reparations? Well, hopefully it's just they paying student loans and giving crack pipes out. This has been in the form of cash payments out to those that are the descendants of the American slave. Wait, cash pay? Are you serious? Well, you know what we got to do now? What's that? The same thing that was done to the Osage. Oh yeah, we got to kill the flower moon. The jealousy and the envy is real. Now, there was an experiment that was done. This experiment essentially was, well, it was questions that was asked. And this question was, if I were to give you $100, but the only way to get this $100 is you had to share it with someone. Right? How much would you give to that person that you wanted to share it with? And as it is stated that, you know, I think they said like the incentive would be, you know, give that person $1 and you keep 99. Well, if a poor person, here's what they found. If a poor person found out that you were getting 99 and they were getting $1 that they never had in the first place, but you wanted to share $1 with them in order to get the 100, they would rather see you not with it than to just receive $1. They would rather both of y'all go broke than for you to get 99 and them to only get $1 out of it. They said that a rich person is more likely to take the dollar because it's $1 that I'd never had in the first place, and then let the poor person get the 99. They said that's the way a rich person thinks. They said, but the poor people would rather see you suffer because they're suffering, or rather see you down because they're down, not factoring in that the history, especially, in context of Black people in America, we have been some of the most sharing with our resources, enriching all these other cultures. Take a look at Chicago. Take a look all over the United States. Enriching people, enriching different cultures. People come into our neighborhoods and they set up shop, and Black people spend money with them. So it can't be the idea that you don't think Black people are going to spend any reparations money with you, because come on. I saw with Hurricane Katrina, after people were getting their FEMA checks, they were spending money with everyone. I don't think it's them that they're really afraid of. I think it's the ones that know better. Because who else will enrich us if you all start doing business amongst yourselves? Must align myself with anything that you get out of fear that you'll leave me in the dust. Even though there's no historical record that says that Black people here in America have been willingly only doing business exclusively with one another. That was due to, segregation. And Black people showed that they can build. That's what they were, builders. And there were those that feared that. So much so that they mounted mobs against them. And the Osage people, they witnessed that. And this is something that, if you think that this is ancient history, you have been sadly mistaken. Times may change, but people don't. That which was, is, and will be. And if you do not take a glimpse into history and understand where it is that you are, the people that are around you, that surround you, and the narratives that abound, then you're bound to repeat it again. This is just going to be a brief show today. But I hope that there was something, some good message, something that someone received from this brief show today. Hopefully. Be sure that all of your children understand history, you understand history, and those that are coming after you, be sure to leave a blueprint for them. Lest we find ourselves once again in the Holocaust that has plagued America, they're attempting to sweep underneath the rug. Oh no. This is not ancient history. These are things that we, to this day, seek justice for. And that justice also comes along with those that would rather see you fall. Because in themselves, they feel like they have failed. So you must fail as well. Either give it to me or no one can have it. Appreciate all y'all for tuning in. I'll be posting a brief marathon of the Superfly series after this that y'all can check out. But guys, always remember this. You are a majority of one. Those that are on code with you, well, now you have a collective. And each one of us is responsible for our narrative and the understanding of history. Some of us, we may not have the narrative all the way correct, but that's why there is a such thing as being open to the correction of a narrative. But you never say, what? I said. You never let anyone control your narrative. Guys, I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Be sure to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, share, and comment to override the algorithm. Till next time, guys, keep it logical. Oh, yeah. Peace.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement.
Everything I do so instinctive and so passionate. Every word I move so descriptive like an adjective. I got a vendetta against people who patented being negative when you should be getting after it. I got facts over tracks, this and that. Spitting slow, spitting fast. I could roast, I could gas. Think I'm okay at last, but I don't know if that can